Welcome back into the Awesemo YouTube channel, guys. My name's Geoff Ulrich, and today we're going to be talking a little Thrive Fantasy for the Super Bowl. Obviously, Rams and Bengals, big game coming up, and Thrive Fantasy, a daily fantasy site where you can play daily fantasy sports with props involved. So you're going to come prop up on Thrive Fantasy for this big game, and we've got a lot of things to discuss because with Thrive Fantasy, you can eliminate the countless hours of research and focus only on the top-tier athletes that impact the game. What you do in their big fantasy contest, you choose 10 out of the 20 available player props to help build your lineups. And for this game, obviously, Bengals versus Rams, there's going to be 20 available player props. We're going to choose 10 to build our lineup. Each prop on Thrive Fantasy is assigned a fantasy value for the over or the under based on how likely it is to hit. So certain props will have certain points available to it. Some of them will have more points available to if they hit. The idea, rack up the most points, and then you get a share of the big prize pools. And Thrive has gone big for the big game. They have a $100,000 guaranteed contest for the Bengals and Rams. First place taking home $20K. So, you want to really chase those upside lineups. Give yourselves a good chance at the $20K first prize. Thrive also has a promotional prop in their prop lobby, and you can go with individual parlay prop and make tickets on Thrive Fantasy as well. It's another feature of their site. And for the big game, they've given out an over-under of 0.5 points on Evan McPherson. Now, it's a max $10 entry, but I think taking the over on the 0.5 for Evan McPherson probably going to be a pretty good bet for most people this week. So a good promo in the Thrive Fantasy lobby this week as well. And when you're signing up for Thrive, make sure you use the promo code Awesemo when you sign up, because if you do, you will receive a 100% instant first deposit match of up to $250. Guys, this is one of the best deals out there. Again, promo code Awesemo, you get 100% instant first deposit match up to $250. Take advantage of that today. Again, promo code Awesemo. Download Thrive on the App Store or the Play Store. And by visiting their website too, you can download it there, thrivefantasy.com. So sign up, prop up today, guys, with Thrive Fantasy. And, that's the site. It's great. Go check it out. But let's talk about some picks that we can actually use on Thrive Fantasy this weekend. I'm going to go over some of my favorite props, and we're going to build out a few, selections for our lineup for these big contests on Thrive. Let's start by going to the Cincinnati Bengals. And when you're making lineups on Thrive, one recommendation I would really have to try and make sure your picks are correlated. And that's what I'm going to do with my first two picks here, because the first pick, we're going to go under Joe Mixon rushing, receiving touchdowns, under 0.5. And if you do hit the under here, you're going to get 130 points on Thrive for your lineup. That is one of the biggest payouts available in this contest. Again, you want to get a piece of that big prize, you got to go big. You got to target these big payouts. The Rams only allowed 11 rushing touchdowns this year. Now, Mixon's obviously the lead back. He's going to get red zone touches. We know that. But this prop has a ton of upside. And again, we want to target the biggest upside props. Going under on Joe Mixon is a good idea, in my opinion. Again, Samaje Perine getting involved as a receiver, too. There's no reason why he can't find the end zone instead of Mixon. I think you go under on the Joe Mixon touchdown prop here. You go for those big points. Now, again, I talked about correlation. If we're going under on Joe Mixon, let's go over on Joe Burrow. Over 3.5 passing touchdowns plus interceptions. So he needs 4. It can be a mix of anything. He needs 4 passing touchdowns, or he needs 2 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Any mix of that will hit you this prop, and you get 135 points on Thrive if he does hit this over. That is the biggest payout available on the slate this week, and I love the way it correlates with Joe Mixon. Again, if Mixon's staying out of the end zone, it's probably because Joe Burrow has thrown for a bunch of touchdowns. Look, and he can get there with interceptions too. The Rams, 3rd most interceptions in the league this year, so they're good at creating turnovers. I love going over Joe Burrow. Again, it's over 3.5 passing touchdowns plus interceptions. It gets you 135 points if it hits. Got to chase those big ones. Let's go to the Rams side now. Well, let's look for more correlation, and I love targeting Cam Akers, but I love targeting his unders this week, and I think you take the unders on a couple different Cam Akers props. First off, let's go under on his 62.5 rushing yards here. This is a player's averaged 3 yards per carry over his last 3 games. Now, you're going to say, well, he's going to get like 20 carries, Jeff. He'll still go over this. But Darrell Henderson back in the lineup. Sean McVay now talking about he's just going to ride the hot hand. Whichever running back, Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers is playing well, he's going to go with them. I like fading Cam Akers a lot this week. We're getting a pretty good payout here, too. Around 100 points on Thrive Fantasy. So let's go under 62.5 rushing yards. And you know what? let's stick with Cam Akers and let's go under 0.5 rushing touchdowns too. We get 120 points if Cam Akers stays out of the red zone as a rusher here. That's a big payout. That's one of the biggest payouts available for this contest. Again, guys, the name of the game, pile up as much points as possible. That's how you're going to get a good shot at that 20K first prize. So let's go under Cam Akers, 62.5 rush yards, under 0.5 rushing touchdowns. I love the way these two correlate because if Cam Akers starts the game slow, or if Darrell Henderson comes in, rips off a couple 20-yard runs, you know Cam Akers is riding the pine for the rest of the bench. He really hasn't played that good. So let's fade Cam Akers. We got good payouts on those two. Last one we're going to talk about in this video. Let's stick with the Rams and let's go with a guy that correlates well with our under Cam Akers props. Let's go over Odell Beckham, 0.5 receiving touchdowns. I like this one to pair with Cam Akers for the simple fact, if we're fading a running back to stay out of the end zone as a rusher, well, the Rams are still probably going to score some touchdowns here, so it's probably going to come through the air. Matthew Stafford, the third most red zone passing attempts in the NFL this year. The Rams love to throw the ball down here. Odell Beckham, he's seen 7 red zone targets over his last 7 games, and he scored 5 touchdowns in 7 games with the Rams. He's just been a good target for Matthew Stafford to go to down in this area. 110 points to take the over here on an Odell Beckham touchdown. 90 points only on the under. I think going over here and chasing the big point total makes a lot of sense, especially when you pair it with those Cam Akers fade props as well. So Odell Beckham over 0.5 receiving touchdowns. I like that one. Again, it's been used a lot in this area, and pair them with our Cam Akers prop. All right, time for a recap. We went over 5 props on Thrive Fantasy to target for their big daily fantasy contest this week. Joe Mixon was the first one. We're going to go under 0.5 receiving or rushing touchdowns for Joe Mixon. Again, really solid payout on that one. Then we're going to go over Joe Burrow, 3.5 passing touchdowns plus interceptions. So again, interceptions and passing touchdowns. Taking the over on Joe Burrow. That was the biggest payout at 135 points too. So I really like going over on that one. Then we're going to go under on 2 Cam Akers props, under 62.5 rushing yards and under 0.5 rushing touchdowns. Then for our final one, we're going to correlate those Cam Akers unders with Odell Beckham over 0.5 receiving touchdowns. Again, 5 touchdowns in 7 games with the Rams. He's getting good red zone usage too. Those are going to be our 5 to target on Thrive Fantasy. Again, the site, when you're making daily fantasy lineups for the prop-based contest on Thrive Fantasy, you're going to have to pick 10, but I've given you a little bit of insight into some of the ones I like this week. So again, make sure you check out Thrive Fantasy, guys. That promo code Awesemo still out there. It's got a great instant deposit match bonus up to $250, excuse me. And make sure you smash that like button before you go as well. Subscribe to the Awesemo YouTube channel if you haven't already. Most importantly, have yourselves a great Super Bowl. I'm Geoff Ulrich, and we'll talk to you again soon.